At 62, I thought I'd earned the right to love again. My daughter thought otherwise. She burst into the ceremony drunk, mascara running, yelling that I was replacing Mom. The next day she emptied my house. My name is Walter Hale. I am a grandfather of 2. I spent 38 years as a lineman. Boots on creosote, belt biting into my hips, cheek turned against cold poles and August heat until the work became a religion. I kept a small wood shop behind my garage after I retired, not because I wanted to sell cutting boards at fairs, but because I liked the way a handplane sings on maple when you set its mouth just right. I am not fancy. I like black coffee and a clean truck bed. I do not raise my voice when I can help it. The ceremony was a Saturday afternoon in the church hall on Pine Street. It smelled like floor polish and lilies, and something like old hymnals, dry paper and ink baked by summer sun through wavy glass. Rosa stood beside me in a blue dress the color of early morning, simple and solid, the kind of blue that does not need to explain itself. Her hand was steady in mine. We had both been widowed. We did not want fireworks or speeches. We wanted a gentle ending and a new start. A soft graft, as the old orchard men say. Lauren came through the back door as if someone had pushed her. Hair half pinned, face washed with tears and mascara lines. The room went quiet because that is what rooms do when a daughter shouts at her father. She pointed at Rosa. She called me a man who was replacing Mom. That word stuck. Replacing. As if people were light bulbs, as if a heart had a parts drawer. I walked her to a side room. She was not small, but in my hands, she felt like the girl who used to hide behind my knee in grocery stores when the cashier sang hello. She pulled away. She swore, a word I had never heard her say to me. Rosa stood back with her hands folded, polite, unsure if she should leave or stay. The kind of ache on her face you get when you watch a dog limp and know you cannot set the bone. "Lauren," I said, "we can talk later. You can be mad at me later. Please sit for the ceremony." "You sit," she said, breath sharp with vodka mints. "You sit in your empty house and think about how fast you forgot Mom." She left. She did not slam the door. It was worse than that. The door side closed, a soft surrender. We stood there like actors who had rehearsed and found a stranger on stage. The pastor cleared his throat the way pastors do when they have memorized words that must be said whether joy has arrived or not. We went ahead. Rosa's voice shook when she said her vows. Mine did not. That is not because I was not scared. It is because I have learned to keep my feet when the wind shifts. Linemen do not climb down every time the gusts pick up. The next day I came home from picking up pastries for Rosa, raspberry pinwheels because she likes tart more than sweet, and found my house hollow. The front door was closed. The deadbolt had been turned with the key I kept under the little concrete frog planter that my granddaughter painted with yellow spots. Every drawer was wrong. The den smelled like dust, shaken loose. Framed photos were gone from the hallway. My granddaughter's finger painting of a yellow dog, splotches more than dog, but I knew it, gone. The cedar chest my father made me, gone. The quilt my late wife stitched from worn shirts, gone. The ring box I kept in the lower dresser drawer, gone. The garage felt like a tooth pulled out. My fishing rods leaned against the bare wall where the rack had been, like widowers at a bar not sure if they were supposed to order. The toolbox that weighed more than a child, gone. The shop radio that only caught old country, gone. The stool with the burn mark in the seat, gone. They had left the things you cannot fence for money and taken the things that have a weight in the hand. I walked through slowly. I did not say a word. The refrigerator hummed. The house made the small noises a house makes when it has been touched by wrong hands. A baseboard creak out of time. A window latch slightly out of true. I called Lauren, straight to voicemail. I called again, straight to voicemail. I sat down on the bare spot where the couch had been and looked at the rectangle of carpet that had kept its original color while the rest had faded. "House ghosts," show their work in quiet ways. Rosa came over. She held my face in both hands and looked into my eyes like she was checking if I had a fever. She did not ask who did it. She knew. If you have raised a daughter through grief, you know the specific break a wrong man brings into a house. I am not quick to call the police. That is not because I am soft. It is because I do not like to invite strangers into my family if I can avoid it, and because I know how quickly a report becomes a wedge that never comes out. I made a list. I wrote it longhand at the kitchen counter with a golf pencil I found in the junk drawer, one of the few drawers left with anything in it. Quilt, cedar chest, photos, ring box, shop radio, toolbox, framed fish picture, the lemon oil I used on the dining table, 3 old biscuit tins my wife used for buttons, the hand plane with my initials carved under the handle. It is a humble thing to write with a golf pencil about the shape of your life. I went to Lauren's place. A townhouse on Cedar Court with a porch that looks like all the other porches, each one trying to say something about steadiness. Maddie's bike lay on the grass out front where you are not supposed to put bikes. I knocked. Maddie opened the door and smiled because she always smiles. She is 12 and brave, but you can tell she still wants the world to be simple. I hugged her. Eli ran by me with a plastic sword and pointed it at my stomach like he had conquered a dragon. I fell to the floor like he had felled a giant. He laughed and yelled, "Victory!" He is 9 and still tells the truth because the world has not taught him it is expensive yet. Lauren came out of the kitchen with a dish towel over her shoulder. She had changed clothes. Her eyes were clear. Her mouth was set in a straight line that I had seen when she was 6 and would not admit she had broken the lamp. "We are not doing this," she said. "They are my things," I said. "Some are yours, if you want them to be. They lived in my house because that is where we lived. You took the house away when you took them." "They were Mom's," she said. "What do you even care?" "You are getting a new wife." "Rosa is not a replacement," I said. "A person is not a spare part." "You is and you did." She turned to the sink and put the towel down and picked up a fork and put it down without washing it. Hands that did not know what to do when they were not grabbing. "You do not get to buy a new life and leave us standing there like extras." "Give me the quilt," I said, "and the photos. We can talk about the rest. You do not tell me what to do." "This is me asking," I said. "This is me saying no," she said. She looked at me like I was a broken fence board she was tired of seeing. "I looked after Mom when she was sick." "Where were you?" "At work. Gone." "I found the hospice number, not you." "I held the bowl when she threw up. I cleaned the sheets." I sat beside her and told Eli his grandma was not sleeping. She was leaving. "You think a blue dress fixes that for you? You think you can take pictures of her and hang them next to your little lady's face?" I took a breath so slow it hurt. "I was there," I said, quiet. "Maybe not in the ways you wanted. I am sorry for the ways I failed. Bring me the quilt." She laughed once, hard air. "Go home, Walter." "Grandpa, are you staying for dinner?" Maddie asked from the floor. She had taken my hand in the middle of the storm like she always did when she was small and thunder scared her. A child's hand can be a rope you hold when the current is fast. "Not tonight, kiddo," Lauren said over her shoulder. "Grandpa is busy." On the way out I saw a plastic storage bin in the garage. It had a strip of duct tape on top with my handwriting in blue marker. "Winter sweaters." I walked to it. I bent to my own writing. It is a strange thing to meet yourself in a place like that. "Do not touch it," Lauren said. "You touch it, I call somebody." She had her phone in her hand. I looked at the phone like it was a fuse that did not need to be lit. "I would like my things," I said. "Talk to my lawyer," she said. I did not answer. I am too old to threaten people with help they cannot afford. I went home. Rosa sat at my kitchen table with 2 plates of cold pastries. She offered me one. I shook my head. "Do you want to sleep at my place tonight?" she asked. "No," I said. "I want to sit in my house." We sat a long time. The house creaked the way old ships do when they settle into waves. I rubbed my wedding ring and felt the engraving inside with my thumb. The letters are a groove worn into the gold. 1982. I remembered the day we chose that slab of cedar for the chest, my father and I, arguing the way men do when love is a kind of stubborn. He wanted to leave the knot in. I wanted clean grain. He won. The knot became a small dark moon on the lid, and now I could not find the moon. The next day I drove to every pawn shop within 30 miles. The Roadhouse Resale, Smiley's, a place behind a tire store with metal bars painted like candy canes. I wrote down the names and addresses in the same notebook that held my list. I did not find a single thing. On the 5th day, on the far side of town where the strip mall is missing 3 letters on its sign and a dog sleeps in the shadow of a barbershop pole, I saw a quilt folded over a ladder at a flea market. The quilt had tiny squares. Each square was a piece of a shirt I used to wear to work. One was a pale blue with a brown stain that would not quite wash out. My wife had always muttered about that stain and the way I pretended it was not there. I asked the vendor where he got it. He shrugged. "Storage unit clean out," he said. He was lying. His eyes went to the left when he said it, not to me or to the quilt, but to the corner of his stand where a jar of screws sat. Liars often study small truths when they speak a big one. "Who sold it to you?" I said. "You from the city?" he asked. "No," I said. "I am from Pine Street." He hesitated. He looked at me. He looked at the quilt like it had warmed his little stand through the morning. He looked back at me. "Guy in a black Tacoma," he said finally. "Thin kid. Tattoos up the neck. Said his girlfriend's grandma died. Needed cash for the funeral." "What did he call himself?" I asked. "Chase," the vendor said. "You know him?" I did. Chase wore a nail belt to look like a carpenter, but the nails were still bright. His cuts did not show on his hands. I bought the quilt. The vendor wanted too much. I paid it anyway. I carried it to my truck like a baby and laid it across the seat. I touched the pale blue square with the stain, like a wound I could press and not bleed. That night I drove by Lauren's townhouse. The black Tacoma was there. I wrote down the plate on an envelope and put it in the glove box. I sat down the street with the engine off. The night smelled like cut lawns and exhaust and somebody's charcoal grill. After an hour the porch light went off. Chase came out and drove away. I followed him at a distance that did not look like following. He went to a storage place off 9th. He punched a code into the gate and went in. I did not go in. A man can lose more than money by walking through a gate like that. The next day I waited until lunch and went back to the storage place. I walked into the office with a small box in my hands. The woman behind the counter had thick glasses and a sweater draped over her chair. She looked over the top of her glasses at the box. I set it down and opened the lid. Wood shavings, smooth as hair. On top, a small wooden truck, hand-carved, the kind people sell at church craft fairs. I made it in my shop the winter after Eli was born. "My grandson lost this," I said. "His name is Eli. He is 9. This was in a black Tacoma last night." She looked at the truck. She touched the roof of it like she would pet a cat. "I like the little wheels," she said. "I do too," I said. "They do not squeak." "Sir," she said, kind but firm, "we do not give out names. And we do not give out unit numbers. We are a vault. That is our pride." "I understand," I said. "If you see a box with my handwriting on blue tape, do not sell it when someone stops paying." She nodded. "I will not," she said. "Thank you," I said. I walked out. I know a vault when I see one. I did not push. Pushing is for young men with too much time. I am old enough to wait. Waiting wasn't surrender, it was staging. And the first thing to fall would be her smile. You wouldn't believe how far I'm about to take it. But before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments, what time it is where you are now. Lauren posted that afternoon, a long note on her page with 3 photos of her mother. She wrote about grief. She wrote about a father who did not grieve. People liked it. People who do not know your house or your hands will like anything if there is a photo with a soft filter. She wrote that she would not let anybody rewrite her mother's place in the family. She did not say my name. She did not need to. The phone rang. It was my sister. "What did you do?" she asked, voice small, like we were both on our grandparents' porch again sharing a popsicle we were not supposed to. "I made coffee," I said. "She says you are pushing her out of her mother's life," my sister said. "She emptied my house," I said. "Oh," my sister said. "You can put a field of meaning into a small word like that." Rosa and I went quiet for a week. I went out to my shop and stood in the spot where my stool had been. I ran my hands over the bench and felt the dust I could not see. I planed a piece of maple just to hear the curl of it and smell the sweet. The sound of a hand plane is a comforting sound. Metal on wood. A low whistle. A little ribbon of pale like shaving soap off a bar. On Friday night I got a message from a number I did not know. It was a photograph. The cedar chest. The caption said, "Is this worth anything?" "Where was this?" I wrote. "Found it," the number wrote back. "You buying or not?" "Meet me at Cup of Joe on 3rd at 10 a.m., I wrote. "Cash." "Bring it," the number wrote. I showed Rosa the text. "Do not go alone," she said. "I will not," I said. I called my friend Ray from the old yard. He is missing 2 fingers from a 1989 tangle with a guy wire and a bad guess, and he has a voice that carries without trying. He came early and sat by the window with a newspaper he had not bought there. I sat at a corner table where I could see the door. The coffee shop smelled like beans and sugar and new paint, and people who think foam art can save a day. At 10:05, Chase walked in with a friend I did not know. They had the chest between them. He looked at me and smiled like we were going to do business as men do when they want a handshake to fix a theft. "Let me see the bottom," I said. He tilted it. My father's initials were carved into the back strip, small as a whisper. R.H. My father pressed those letters into that wood with a nail set while I watched his mouth clench. "That is mine," I said. "That is for sale," he said. I looked at him. He blinked first. There is an old truth. You can tell the difference between a man who has lifted something and a man who has made something by the way he touches it. "My daughter is Lauren," I said. "Do you want to be part of this, or do you want to set something down and walk away?" "You cannot prove," he started. "I do not need to prove." "I know," I said. "You can carry that chest back out that door, and I will not say your name to another soul, or you can drag it into this lighting and see what comes out of me." He looked to his friend. His friend looked down at his shoes, the way a boy looks when a coach asks who broke the bat. Chase shrugged and left the chest, hands up, humorless. He left the shop. The bell on the door was polite, as if it wanted nobody to be upset. Ray folded his paper. "You want me to?" "No," I said. I ran my hand across the lid of the cedar chest and felt 10 years of my father's shop in that varnish. I pushed it to the wall and sat, hands on the wood, and breathed. I could smell cedar as if time had cracked open. I paid the barista for 2 coffees and for the way she had not flinched when the men walked in with a stolen thing and left without it. When someone keeps a place safe with their stillness, you pay them even if they say you do not need to. That night Lauren called me. "You embarrassed my friend," she said. "He embarrassed himself," I said. "You ambushed him," she said. "I sat at a table," I said. "I asked to meet where there were people." I brought money. He wanted to sell me something that belonged to my father. "You are not mad about the chest," she said. "You are mad that I said what I said. I am mad that you took what you did not ask for." I kept my voice even. I took my anger and held it like a hot pan with good mitts. "I am the one who kept this family alive when Mom died," she said. "I kept the house clean." I kept the calendar straight. I drove you to your appointments when you could not drive. You ate the soup I made, and then you went and put a ring on somebody else's finger, like we are not still standing here. You want to pay for a chest? Pay me. I collected the interest. You do not get to charge grief, I said. She hung up. The dial tone is not a thing anymore, but it felt like one, a long flat line. Monday morning I knocked on her door again. She opened it jaw set. No, she said. Bring the photos, I said. Bring the ring box. Keep the radio. It was broken anyway. Keep the lemon oil. Use it on your table. It will thank you. You do not tell me what to do, she said. Then listen to what I am going to do, I said. I am going to have a fish fry in my backyard this Saturday at 5. Family is invited. Neighbors too. Bring the kids. Bring Chase if you want. Bring the photos. I will have a table set to put them down on a stunt, she said. A table, I said. I am not bringing anything, she said. Saturday at 5, I said. She laughed through her nose and shut the door, but I could see the little tremor at the corner of her mouth that shows up when she is not as sure as she wants to be. I mowed. I raked a little to make the yard look like it had been ready all along. I put up a folding table under the maple. I strung cheap bulbs zigzag across the yard. I borrowed Ray's big fryer. The yard smelled like grass and old oil in summer, even though summer was not quite here. I set a plain white tablecloth on the table under the maple. On it, I put a handwritten sign. Family photos return here. I taped a piece of blue painter's tape along the edge because I know people. They need a place to aim. People came. Neighbors brought potato salad and a store-bought pie they put in my hands as if they owed me a kindness for something they could not name. Rosa set up paper plates and sat with the kids while the first batch sizzled. Steam rose from the oil like a soft gray ghost. I fried and waved and said people's names. Saying a man's name out loud is a way to hold him up for a second. At 6, Lauren came. She did not want to come. Her body told that story. She stood at the edge of the grass like someone facing the ocean for the first time, unsure if the waves were an invitation or a warning. Chase came behind her with his hands in his pockets, the shape of his neck tattoos disappearing into a shirt with buttons he had not used when he bought it. The kids ran to me. Maddie whispered, "Is it okay?" I said, "It is okay." Lauren walked toward the table under the maple with slow steps, the way you walk when you think it might be a trick. She had a tote bag on her shoulder. She put it on the table. She opened it. She pulled out the ring box and set it down. She pulled out 3 albums and set them down. She pulled out 2 frames and set them down. She did not look at me. She did not say anything. "Thank you," I said. "I did not do it for you," she said, but her voice was not sharp. It was tired. Maddie found the box. She cried. I did not want her to cry. Chase came to the fryer and tried to joke with Ray. Ray did not laugh. Ray knows the difference between a man trying and a man trying to get away with it. He handed him a plate anyway. Mercy is a kind of courage. We ate. We sat on lawn chairs. The kids chased each other and knocked over 2 cups and laughed like they had not been stuck between walls. The string lights made a warm line across the dusk. The maple leaves threw shapes on the tablecloth. I heard 2 neighbors whisper and then stop. Most people want to do the right thing when you give them a chance to see it. At 7, people started to go. I walked Lauren to her car. "We are not done," she said. "I know," I said. "I will not come to your house anymore," she said. "You made a circus of me." "I lit my backyard," I said. "I fried fish." I asked for my wife's face back. "You humiliated me," she said. "You humiliated yourself," I said. Then I bit my tongue. I should have chosen softer words. The truth can be a hammer or a hand, and sometimes I forget you need one before the other can be held. She got in the car and shut the door. Chase turned the music up too loud. Because men like him think volume is a kind of protection. The black truck slid away. That night, Rosa sat on my couch with her legs tucked under her and looked at the albums like they were a river we could stand beside again. She traced my wife's face with a finger that had clipped hair all day. "She looks like the kind of woman who would have liked me," she said. "She was," I said. The next morning, Rosa found her salon door cracked open. The little bell that rings when the door opens dangled by a screw like a tooth hanging by a thread. 2 dryers were tipped over. A jar of tip money missing. The petty kind of damage that is meant to feel like a finger in your chest. She called me. Her voice was thin. I came with a broom and a box of screws and a thermos of coffee. I swept. I fixed. I said, "It is just things." She looked at me like I had spoken a language she did not want to learn. "I am not built for this kind of war," she said. "I know," I said. "I do not think I am either." "Maybe we pause," she said. "On us?" I asked. "On being public," she said. "On the fish fry energy. It is too loud. This is not what I wanted my name attached to." I nodded. I did not argue. I love her. You do not keep love by winning points. For 2 weeks I kept quiet. I went to the flea market on Saturdays and breathed in the mix of funnel cake and old fabric and dust. I bought back a biscuit tin. I found the radio under a table, the kind of plastic that ages into a particular beige, with a crack that looked like a map of a river. I did not buy it. Some things should end broken. I bought a small jar of buttons that felt like my wife's hands. On a Wednesday, when the air had that bright look that can come after rain, I parked outside the school where Maddie and Eli go. It was pickup time. Parents flooded the sidewalk like a parade that does not want to be called a parade. I did not want to cause a scene. I stayed back. I saw them come out. Maddie saw me first. She lifted her hand and lowered it when she saw Lauren behind her. I waited by the far curb. I did not yell. I did not wave. When they got close, I said, "Hey." "Grandpa," Eli said, relief straight through his voice, like the first hot chocolate of winter. Lauren's face did not change. "We are late," she said. "I made something," I said. I held out a small box wrapped in brown paper. It said for Maddie in my careful block letters. "What is it?" she asked. "It is yours," I said. "You can open it here or later." "Later," Lauren said. "We are late." Maddie held the box against her chest like it was nothing and everything at once. "Thank you," she said. That night she sent me a picture. She had opened the box. Inside was a small wooden music box I carved with a sunflower on the lid, because she once stopped in my yard to stare at the tallest sunflower like it could talk. When you opened it, an old recorded voice played. It was her grandmother reading a page from Goodnight Moon, recorded on a phone years ago when I thought I was saving something small. I had saved it like a man keeps a penny in his pocket from the year he was born. I had thought I was foolish. I was not. Lauren sent 3 words, "Do not do this." I wrote back. Maddie asked me for stories. I gave her one. Silence. Sometimes a quiet phone is a victory. Rosa came by the next day. She stood in my doorway with her hands tucked deep in her coat while the day did its best at being warm. "I am sorry," she said. "I do not want to live like someone's secret. But I also cannot be a target every time your daughter wants to turn you inside out." "I can try being smaller," I said. "I can try to disappear from the parts of town where it is easiest to throw stones." "I do not want you to disappear," she said. "I want you to be yourself without needing an audience." "Then marry me again in the living room with the windows open," I said. "I will make coffee." "You can wear that sweater I like." She laughed, hand to mouth. A week later we held a quiet blessing and renewed our vows in the living room quiet, with Ray and his wife and with the kids. Lauren did not come. I did not invite her. I love her, but I also like to breathe. We put my wife's photo on the mantel like a witness who would tell the truth if asked. Rosa poured coffee into chipped mugs. The pastor came in his everyday shirt and spoke fewer words than usual. The windows were open and a bird talked from the maple like it was telling us to get on with it. There is a difference between revenge and repair. For a while I thought I wanted one more than the other. Then I realized the sweetest revenge was to set a table where I liked the food and the company, and to give the hungry what I could. If you want the word revenge to have blood on it, you will be disappointed in me. My blood is tired. If you want it to have spine in it, then pull up a chair. I couldn't teach respect with speeches, so I used something older and sharper. A simple paper that is going to cut a lot deeper. On the day that felt right, I planned one last move. I wrote 3 letters. One for Lauren, one for Maddie, one for Eli. I put them in simple envelopes, no big words. I put the letters and the photos I had recovered and the ring box into a crate. I drove to the community hall, the same one where Lauren had shouted at my wedding. I rented it for a Saturday afternoon and told everyone we were having a stories and sandwiches day for the kids. People came because people will come if you promise food and a table where they can sit. I stood up and spoke. My voice was steady and I kept it short. These are photos of our family, I said. This is the voice of someone we loved. I played the clip of my late wife reading to a baby. The room went quiet in the way rooms learn to go quiet at the right times. You could feel people remember their own dead. That is a heavy and tender thing. Lauren stood up from a chair at the side wall and walked toward me with a face I did not know. She was not angry. She was careful, like someone carrying soup across a room and trying not to spill. "Dad," she said. The word felt like a tentative bridge laid across a creek no one had crossed in years. "Do not make a museum out of Mom." "I am making a picnic," I said. "Sit if you want." People ate. People told stories about their own mothers. Ray told a story about falling off a ladder and my wife showing up with a pie and a cuss word and a hug all at once. The kids laughed in the places where laughing is a good answer to pain. The room smelled like ham and mustard and coffee in foam cups. Someone started crying softly and someone else patted their back without making a speech. That is what a town is for. When most had gone, when only family was left and a few neighbors folding chairs, I spoke to Lauren. "I am done chasing," I said. "I am done asking you for permission to live. Here is what changes. I will see the kids on Fridays. If you make that hard for them, I will wait on the curb at the far end and wave and let them wave, and I will see them when they can. I will help the kids with what they need by giving it to the school or the camp or the team, not to you. If you want to borrow a tool, you come ask me and you bring it back. If you take from me again, I will not invite you to any more tables, not out of spite, out of self-respect." "That is a lot of rules," she said, trying to find a hook in it. "They are simple," I said. "Friday, ask return. I will keep them simple because I am simple, and because complicated things do not withstand storms." She opened her mouth. She closed it. She nodded once. I do not know if she agreed or if she was tired. On the way out, I handed her the letter I wrote. She put it in her coat pocket without looking at it. I had written, in a hand she could have picked out of a lineup of 1,000 fathers, that I had changed my will. I had set up a living trust with a simple plan. The house and shop would go to Maddie and Eli when they reached an age where hammers and books make sense in the same room. The money would pass to a scholarship for kids who want to climb poles or cut hair and cannot afford the boots or the shears. Lauren would not be punished. She would be bypassed, like a line that is down and must be rerouted for safety. I did not write those words to hurt her. I wrote them to protect what I have saved. I wrote, "Respect is a key. You can still ask for a copy if you want to hold one. I will put it in your hand. but know that I am done pretending my table is a buffet. Weeks passed. The shifts were smaller. She did not post about me. I did not talk about her to anyone who was not already in our living room. I walked the kids to the ice cream stand on Fridays and we talked about science projects and a boy named Zach who is not nice and a dog who eats socks. Maddie played the music box sometimes and then shut it like she was afraid she would wear it out. Eli and I built a birdhouse. We painted it yellow. The first bird took too long to come. Then 3 came at once and argued about who discovered the hole. I fixed an old shop radio I'd picked up cheap, not mine, even though I'd said some things should end broken. Not with new parts. With a careful cleaning, a soldered joint rewarmed, a twist of wire that had been lazy. I liked the way the static felt like weather you could sit inside and watch without getting wet. One night Lauren knocked on my door. Her eyes were not mascara smeared. They were red the way eyes get when someone has been working a hard field for a long time and stops to look over the land. She held the shop radio in both hands. "It does not work," she said. "I know," I said. "You keep it," she said. "I will," I said. She stood there. The porch light made a neat circle around her shoes. The crickets were loud. The maple leaves hissed above us like whispering people. "I read your letter," she said. "You said you were scared to be happy in front of me." "I am," I said. "I do not know how to hold both things. To love you and not apologize for the ways you do not approve of my life." "You do not have to apologize," she said, and then she shook her head. "But you are not the only one who lost something. You lost a wife. I lost a mother. We lost the same person, but it was a different shape for both of us. When you stood up there in that church hall, all I could think was that you had built something else without me. I was not ready." "I wish you had told me," I said. "I am telling you now," she said. We stood in the doorway, 2 people in a frame. She handed me the radio. I took it. It felt lighter than it had been when I bought it. Maybe that is the way things feel when they are finished with their work. "Can I come in?" she asked. "Yes," I said. She came inside. Rosa was at the table doing a crossword. She looked up and smiled the small smile she gives people when she is willing to start again, but will not do a dance about it. Lauren sat. I made tea because that is what you can always do. I put honey on the table because that is how I say I am trying. We did not solve it that night. We did not fix everything, but we did not break anything further. That was enough. You might be waiting for the part where I made a report or a court date. I did one thing like that. I wrote a demand letter and sent it certified to Chase, not to Lauren. A simple list, items taken, value, a photograph of the cedar chest's initials. I included a copy of the flea market vendor's receipt for the quilt, not to prove a case, but to prove I knew how to keep paper. I asked for 2 things. Do not come to my property again, and pay $20 a week until the balance hit 0. He sent back the first $20, then nothing. I put the 20 in a jar on my shop shelf and taped his name to it. I do not know if he will mail the next bill. I do not chase boys who are running from their own shadows. $20 looks like a small victory, but it sits there like a nail, a reminder that some debts can be counted without burning down a town. The fish fry changed something. People waved different after that. The neighbor across the street, the one who always cut his grass noon sharp on Saturdays like it was a parade, came over with a pie and did not say why. The woman who grooms dogs at the strip mall gave Rosa a discount without making it look like charity. I found my hand plane on my porch one morning, a note taped to the handle. Found at Larry's booth. Sorry. No name. I ran my thumb under the handle and felt the initials I had cut all those years ago. W.H. A small reunion. On a Sunday in late summer, we went to the river. Ray came. He brought an old cooler that had a dent in it from a fall in 1992 and thought it made the ice colder. Rosa packed a basket with cold chicken and biscuits. The kids splashed and skipped stones and argued about how many skips count if the stone looks like it touched after the last ripple. The water smelled like river water always smells. A little green, a little clean, a little like the earth is rinsing itself. Dragonflies did their small miracles. Eli shouted every time he thought he saw a fish, as if wonder needed to be recorded out loud, or it would get lost. Lauren came late. She walked down the path with a bag over her shoulder. She sat on a big flat rock and watched her children be children. She did not take out her phone. That is a small mercy, and I saw it. She came to me once when everyone else was talking. "Was I awful?" she asked, eyes on the water. "Yes," I said, because I am too old to pretend. "And I was stubborn. You met my stubborn with your awful, and the house suffered." She laughed, the small kind of laugh that has several old laughs inside it. "Can I make it right?" she asked. "You can make it better," I said. "Right is for new things." She nodded. She threw a small stone. The ring it made was delicate and honest and faded into the big rings the river made all the time. We sat there with our shoulders almost touching, then touching. The sun made a wide path across the water. The kids yelled about a turtle. Ray told a story about a fellow who once thought he could outsaw him and ended up with a board so crooked it looked like a question mark. Rosa set out the plates. Life sat down and ate with us, as plain as bread. After the river day there were no grand gestures. There were small ones. Lauren came by with a bag of screws because Eli wanted to hardware store browse with me on Friday, and she had decided to get ahead of the request. I put the screws in a jar labeled with painter's tape and wrote Eli's name on it like he had a line of credit in my shop. Maddie asked if she could interview me for a school project about community helpers, and I said yes and put on my cleanest shirt. She recorded me saying, "A helper is someone who shows up with a tool and does not talk too long about it." She smiled and told me that was good. I believe her. Some people will say, "I let Lauren off easy." They will want a scene with blue and red lights and a judge who says her full name. They will want me to slam a door and throw away a key. If that is the story you need, I cannot give it to you. I can offer something else. I can offer the way I watched my daughter put that ring box down on a white table under a maple while the neighbors watched. I can offer the way a town learned how to go quiet and then how to laugh again. I can offer the way I set new lines and stuck to them without shouting. I can offer a trust that will hand a shop to a boy who loves screws like jewels and a house to a girl who listens to a sunflower song in wood. I can offer a room where Rosa can do crosswords without bracing for a bang at the door. If you want to call that revenge, you can. It felt like repair with teeth. At 62, I thought I had earned the right to love again. I still think that. I also learned that love is not a medal you pin to your chest after hard years. It is a table you put out and set again and again, even after somebody storms through and knocks the dishes to the floor. You sweep. You set another plate. You make the good coffee and you pour it into the chipped mug that says the year you became a grandfather, even if no one else thinks that is the right mug for company. If you want a clean ending where I lock a door and throw away a key, I cannot give it to you. What I can offer is something I have learned on poles in bad weather and in kitchens after long nights. You keep your feet, you hold your line, and you do not let go unless someone's life depends on it. And when the storm passes, you pick up what is yours, you forgive what you can, and you live the next day on purpose. I am a grandfather. I am a husband again. I am a man who likes black coffee and a clean truck bed. On Fridays, I take Maddie for ice cream and Eli for hardware store browsing, because he likes to look at screws like they are jewels. On Sundays, I sit in the quiet and listen to the old radio. Sometimes it plays a song. Sometimes it is only a cough of static. Either way, it is a good sound. It is the sound of a house that stayed standing. And when I walk down the hallway now, the frames on the wall hold steady, and if one leans, I straighten it with 2 fingers and a breath, and I leave it where I can see it. If your daughter emptied your house and you wrote the will to skip her, is that repair or betrayal? Let me know what you think in the comment section.
My grandpa's words really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.